Last Tuesday, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror for 20 minutes. The house was finally quiet. I looked at the woman in the glass. I saw the fine lines around her eyes and the hollow look in her pupils, and I realized something that terrified me.
I didn't recognize her. I knew her. Name was Jolene. I knew she was a mother and a wife, but I felt like I was looking at a stranger who had stolen my life. I wasn't an architect anymore. I was just the foundation everyone was, walking on, and foundations don't have voices. They just hold the weight until they crack.
It didn't happen overnight. It started with small yeses. When I first married Mark, I adjusted to his coffee, his shirts, his schedule. Then the children came. My hobby dots, the painting, the Sunday runs, became luxuries I could no longer afford. I became a walking calendar, a professional problem solver.
People would say, Jolene, I don't know how you do it all. What I didn't say was that I was screaming inside. They weren't praising me. They were praising the fact that I made their lives easy. They were praising the ghost.
Being the perfect person is expensive. The currency isn't money, it's your soul. I remember my sister calling me at 11 p.m. with a crisis. I had a migraine, but I listened for 2 hours because Jolene is the listener. The next morning, I burnt the toast, and Mark looked at me with confusion. What's wrong with you? You're so moody.
After a decade of being a saint, one morning of being human was a character flaw. You don't ask a hammer if it's tired. You just expect it to hit the nail.
Then came that rainy Tuesday. I had a fever, 102 degrees. I was shivering, making Mark's favorite lasagna. Mark walked in, stepped over the laundry and said, "Hey, we're out of those sparkling waters I like. Can you run to the store real quick?" I whispered, "I have a fever, Mark." He just kissed my cheek and said, "It's only 5 minutes away. You're a lifesaver."
That was it. I turned off the stove, I grabbed my car keys and walked out. I didn't go to the store, I just drove.
I drove until the suburban lights faded. My phone started pinging. Where's the water? Where's my hoodie? Where's dinner? I turned it off. I checked into a cheap motel 60 miles away. I sat on the bed and did nothing for the first time in a decade. I didn't plan a meal or a schedule.
I realized I had been living with people who loved what I did for them but had forgotten to love who I was.
I stayed there for 24 hours. When I woke up, the guilt was gone. In its place was a cold, hard clarity. When I walked back into the house, the next evening it was a war zone, pizza boxes everywhere. Mark was angry. "Where the hell were you? Do you know how hard it's been managing everything today?" He didn't ask about my fever. He only asked how my absence hurt him. I sat at the table with a legal pad. "These are the terms of my return," I said. "I'm no longer the default person. If the sink is full, it's our sink. From now on, I am taking back 4 hours of my day, no interruptions." It wasn't easy. There were nights of silence and nights of tears, but I held my ground. I went back to my painting. The color started to return to my skin. A month later, I stood in front of that same bathroom mirror. I looked at the woman in the glass and this time, I smiled. I recognized her. She wasn't just a foundation anymore. She was the architect.
I had taught my family that a woman's love isn't measured by how much she suffers, I could finally breathe.